Good afternoon, folkers. Snapzilla Gorilla in the van making my rounds. Today, this video is going to be pretty much a response video, for the most part, to a video someone else did earlier today. That individual is Brian Logan. Okay, now he did a video talking about the case of the police shooting of Atatiana Jefferson. Okay, and I have several responses to some of the things he said in his video. Okay, one, he said that he doesn't have all the information. You know, he wants to see more information, hear more information regarding this, because of course there's never enough information when a cop clearly murders someone. There's never enough information to determine the fault there. All right. Okay. Now, let me help you out, Brian Logan. There's plenty of information out there. Why don't you listen to the police department that this murderer belonged to, who said that the killing was not justified? And why don't you listen to the mayor, who said that it doesn't matter? Yeah, you didn't have enough information, right? Well, yeah, Atatiana Jefferson did have a gun. It was a legally owned firearm that she possessed inside of her own home. And even the mayor said that regardless of that fact, the murder of Atatiana Jefferson was not justified. Okay? There is no excuse. Let me give you some information, my brother. Let me give you some information, since you so hard up on it in regards to this. So much information floating around, but you don't have enough. Let's continue. The police department has hung this man out to dry. Why? Because they know he murdered that woman in cold blood, and they don't want no parts. They want 0 parts. Okay? They want 0 parts because they know he's going down for this. He's a murderer. He killed that woman in cold blood. All right? It doesn't matter if the woman had a gun in her house. It doesn't matter if she pointed the gun at him. It doesn't matter if she had the gun in her hand when she stood up and saw a lurker, a prowler in her backyard that did not identify themselves. The murderer didn't identify himself. You weren't sure about that? Well, let me tell you for sure. That cop, that murderer, did not identify himself. Let's talk about some things here. Okay, number one, it was not a 911 call. It was a non-emergency call to the police department. It was a wellness visit. It was supposed to be a wellness visit because the neighbor, retardedly, in my opinion, called the cops instead of calling on his neighbor and asking, hey, are you okay in there? I see that your door is open. Never mind, it's hot as fuck. And that you want the door open to get some circulation up in there. Never mind that, right? Let's talk about it. It was a wellness visit. So these cops show up clearly in the video. I don't care how edited it was. I don't care. I don't care. We know for a fact when the cops arrived, when that murderer arrived, he bypassed 2 doors. Okay, allegedly he's a murderer. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Oh, allegedly. Okay, yeah, whatever. Ooh, allegedly he's a murderer, even though we saw him kill that woman in cold blood. All right, let's continue. There were 2 doors open, right? But what about this small detail? What about the detail that the screen door was closed? The screen door was closed. It wasn't like the door was just wide open as an invitation for a burglar to come in there and steal her shit. No. She had the screen door closed. Okay? It was a wellness visit. So instead of this murderer knocking on the front door to check on the owner of the house, he decides to quietly sneak toward the back, where he probably heard video games being played. Last time I checked, police officers have to be able to hear, right? The door's wide open. 2 doors are wide open. A window's probably open. Not the window he shot through, clearly. So, the window's wide open, or the doors are wide open. I'm pretty sure he can hear sounds coming from in the house. It probably sounds like a video game going on. I'm not sure. That's conjecture. I can admit that that's pure conjecture. I don't know. But something made him go around to that part of the house to pass a bullet through the window. This was no accident. An accident is when you do something that you don't mean to do. It wasn't intentional. Okay? This dude did not, it was no accident. He murdered that woman in cold blood. Shot through her window. Ran up into her property. In Texas, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Texas, if someone trespasses on your property, you can shoot their ass to oblivion. I don't know if you're aware of that. This cop trespassed on her property without permission. Proceeded to prowl around the house making sneaky ass noises and attracted this woman's attention. And he didn't identify himself. So of course, being the intelligent woman that she is, she's going to pick up a gun to see what the hell's going on. But he had to drop on her. He had to drop on her by the time she had what's going on. But by the time she knew what was going on and where her death was coming from, it was too late. And I'm gonna say this: if she had gotten the drop on him and was able to fire before he could and killed him, he would have deserved it. It would have been justified, because you trespassed on her property and didn't identify yourself. Your ass was supposed to knock on the front door for a wellness visit. I don't care what the dispatcher told me. Even if it wasn't a wellness visit, even if it was an emergency, why not go to the front door anyway? Why not go to the front door? I'm pretty sure the neighbor didn't say, 911, it's an emergency. I need you to bum rush a house. No. And never mind that, he didn't bum rush the house. They were sneaking around on her property like a fucking night prowler. That's some information for your ass. That's some information for you. Okay? Let me give you some more information. You keep saying the wrong thing about the Amber Geiger situation. Amber Geiger did not accidentally kill Botham John. She intentionally killed Botham John. She said it herself. That was no accident. That was no accident. Stop saying it was an accident. It was not. That was an intentional murder. Now, was it premeditated? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, you mentioned that anything less than an electric chair tomorrow won't be good enough for the upset people. Well, I agree. It's not good enough. He should get the electric chair once he's convicted. This is a clear-cut case of murder. It's right there in video, in black and white. Oh, actually, it's in color, in Technicolor. This was no accident. This was an intentional murder. He intended to shoot through that window. Premeditated, that's the only thing that'll be difficult to prove. But what we can prove is that he shot to kill. Because as it was laid out in the Amber Geiger trial, that's what they're trained to do. They're trained to shoot to kill. But they're supposed to protect and serve. No. Their directive is to shoot and kill. And then you want to say, you want to talk about forgiveness and how, we shouldn't be or not be forgiving of these murders unless we're family and friends and shit. I call bullshit. Nah. Because this is a symptom of a greater problem. This is a symptom of a corrupt system that enables the police to do whatever they want. They're above the law. They can just go around murdering people and get away with it for the most part. This is a symptom of a corrupt system. So we can't just sit there and say, oh, well, if the family forgave them, so should we. Nah, it's not about, you're right, it's not about forgiveness. It's about tackling the problem logically, rationally. It's about nipping it in the bud. And I think that we have this very opportunity right now to let the cops know that you can't just go around killing people with impunity. That shit has to stop. Qualified immunity needs to go away. Qualified immunity needs to go away. Psychological evaluations need to start. Because we're asking these cops to take up arms, patrol our streets, and keep us safe. But that's not what they're supposed to do, according to the Supreme Court. According to the Supreme Court ruled that police officers do not have to serve and protect the community. No. But that's what it should be. That should be the new directive. These people need to be held accountable. And when you say, oh, it's not up to us to forgive or not forgive, nah, you're sending the wrong message. We need to hold these police officers to a standard. And the standard should be, if you break the law, you face harsher punishment than the civilians or the citizens you're there to serve, right? They should get away with anything because they put their life on the line every day. They signed up for it. You want to weed the bad ones out? You make it clear that this shit will not be tolerated. We will not tolerate police murder or police terrorism. That's the message we should be sending. Not, it was none of our business, so we should stay out of it. Nah, bruh. Why are you speaking on it then, ABL? Because you're getting just as many clicks as anybody else who feels the opposite way that you do, that has a following. Nah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. You know, yeah, and you know, people are going to make it about race. People are going to make it about race, right? Because it was a white cop and it was a black woman. It's conditioned. It's conditioning. People have been conditioned to think this way. Even white people. And then, yes, the media, to some degree, to a lot of degrees, they do capitalize and they do perpetuate the race shit. Yeah, I agree with that. But this was one thing we have to look at. Somebody like me, nah, I'm not going to bring race into this. I'm not going to say that the cop was racist. He might be, he might not be. I don't know. But in this case, he is an order follower. He is a Gestapo. He is an overseer who murdered somebody. He murdered a human being patrolling out in these streets. It doesn't matter what color the woman is. You're right. So we need to stop doing that. When these cops kill people with impunity and with for no reason, when these cops murder people, let's leave the race out of it, because all we're doing is giving these people like Brian Logan the ammunition to use to counter the argument and to soften, to try to soften the punishment of these police officers, because they cape for police. People like him, people like the Hodge twins, you know what I'm saying? All these black conservatives who go above and beyond to prove that they're black conservatives, to kowtow, to bow and scrape to their to white conservatives. That's what they're doing. You want to call it cooning? Hey, that's up to you. I'm not gonna call it cooning. What I'm gonna call it is you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You're fighting too hard to not sound like the average everyday black man who pulls a race card. No. Let's look at this logically. Leave the race out of it. You want us to leave the race out? You leave the race out. And argue on a real rational standpoint, from a real rational basis. The fact of the matter is, the point is, the bottom line is, this man murdered this woman. This man murdered this woman. And cops are not granted special abilities. They're not granted special power. It's an illusion. They should be held at a higher standard. He bypassed her front door, didn't knock on it, prowled around her neighborhood, prowled around her house, like any other human being, trespasses on her property, and he murdered the woman. Point blank and period. White, black, orange, purple, cop. And the fact that he's a cop just makes it worse. And then you want to talk about the outrage that we don't have about black on black crime in our neighborhoods. How you know it ain't there? Just because the media doesn't talk about it. My mom is part of an organization in Chicago, and they're always marching and they're always protesting black on black violence in Chicago. They had my mother started several programs in Chicago to help stop violence. The shit is being done, bruh. Just because the media is not going to put my mama up on a pedestal. They're not going to do that. My mom made a freaking a documentary about my little sister who became a gang member, and the documentary is about her struggle to help my sister get out of that gang life. And guess what? It happened. And now she's in New York. My sister's in New York doing gang intervention. She has to stop the violence movement going on in New York. My sister in Far Rockaway. And if you know anything about Far Rockaway, you know how dangerous it is. She's out there in the thick of it, trying to stop the black on black violence. So what you talking about? Just because the media is not going to go to my sister, the program, the nonprofit my sister belongs to, doing her gang intervention, they're not going to talk to her. They're not going to blow that up. Just because you don't see it, don't mean it's not happening. Miss me with the bullshit. You are firmly ensconced in your statist cognitive dissonance. Point blank and period. And you need to snap out of it. Black on black crime ain't being. Come on, man. The media is not gonna. There's no point. The media is not gonna blow that up. Of course not. No, because they want it to continue. They don't want people to know that progress is being made. I know a guy who is called Second Call. Has an organization out here, a gang intervention organization, that try to stop the violence. But I'm gonna tell you the difference between black on black violence and cop on civilians, cop on citizen violence. When a black person or a white person, right? Because it's not black on black crime. It's impoverished on impoverished crime. Don't get it twisted. White folks be killing each other in impoverished neighborhoods when drugs are involved, just like in black neighborhoods. Don't get it twisted. Anyway, it's impoverished on when there's poverty, there's crime. And if there's an impoverished neighborhood, the crime tends to happen in that neighborhood. And if that neighborhood happens to be mostly black or mostly white, that's what it is. So let's get out of that. Miss me with that bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, the guy I know, Big John out here, man. He got me in the electrical trade out here. He helped me get in the union. He has a gang intervention program that him and his partner started. They were both B-Dogs. They were both Bloods from the east side, Broadway and all that. They doing shit that, I mean, they're pulling people out of gangs and getting them in the electrical trade. Getting them in the electrical trade. Just like he got me in the electrical trade. And they're being productive. They out here working harder than everybody else because that's what they were taught. They had to work harder than anybody else because they're black. And there's already a preconceived notion that when you black, you lazy, you this, that, and third. Let me tell you something, man. When I first got into the electrical trade, my first foreman, white dude, after a few months, because I was kicking ass. I was kicking ass. I was an apprentice. I was a first-year apprentice, kicking my journeyman's ass. I was doing better than him. I was working faster, and I was doing it right. Because I had that determination. And I was told that I had to work 10 times harder than anybody else on that fucking job site. And I was one of the only 5 black men on the job site with 200 electricians. Anyway, after a few months, my white foreman felt comfortable enough to tell me that when I first started, he was afraid of me. Yeah, he was afraid of me because I was black and I was walking down the street. I was walking through the job site with swag, you know what I'm saying? Walking like a black man. He was afraid. He had a preconceived notion that I was going to be lazy, and this is what he told me. He had a preconceived notion that I was going to be lazy, and that if he tried to get me to pick it up and work harder, that I'd give him attitude, might even punch him in the face. Some silly shit like that. That preconceived notion was there. So don't tell me that there ain't no such thing as racism. All right? Yes, is it a social construct? Of course it is. But a lot of shit is a social construct. We have to give a name to a thing that distinctifies what you're talking about. Like a telephone, right? A telephone is a social construct. If I want to, I can call this a brick or a pancake or a pepperoni. No, we call it a cell phone. It's a societal norm to call it a cell phone. That's what language is for. Language is a social construct. We call things to distinctify it so that we know what we're talking about. So if I tell somebody down the street, hey man, I need you to go pick up my wibbly wop. Okay, so we construct what a wibbly wop is in society as a whole. So that everybody knows what a wibbly wop is. So that when we go pick up a wibbly wop, we know what the hell we talking about. Social construct, a cell phone. A skull cap. Social construct. Glasses. They call these glasses because guess what? It's a social construct. When your ancestors and yourself grow up in different regions of the world, you have different characteristics. You have a different culture. You have a different way of doing things. Your skin color might be different because of certain situations, because of how much sun exposure you get over thousands and thousands of years. And over time, we evolve in different ways, even though we're all human beings. We evolve in different ways, but we're different. Yeah, and we're different. Yes, we're still human beings. We can still mate with each other, even though this is what people won't tell you. It's much more difficult for a black and a white person to have a baby than a black and a black person and a white and a white person. That's just the biology of it. It has to do with the physiology and the compatibility. These are facts. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. How easy is it for a black and a white person to have a baby versus a black and a black person and a white and white person? Because there are differences. There are differences. And so therefore, we had to construct a term. We had to construct black. We had to construct white. Ethnicity is a social construct, so that you can determine the differences in two different cultures and from two different regions. Yes, it's all social construct. There's a mountain, there's a mound, and there's a hill. Those are all social constructs. We don't call them the same things because they're different, even though they both are raised ground. A hill is raised ground. A mound is a raised ground, and a mountain is raised ground, raised earth. But there are differences in heights. There are differences in characteristics of these three different raised levels. Small, medium, high. Yes, we constructed words to distinctify them, to separate them amongst each other. Yes, every fucking thing that we have, everything on this earth that we call to, that we name, that the sky is blue, right? They say the sky is blue because it was constructed to be that way. In society, we gave it a word so that everybody knows what everybody else is talking about when they talk about the sky. If somebody in Virginia called the sky, said the sky was magenta or red, and there was no social construct established to call the sky blue, then I can call it orange and he can call it red. Tomorrow I might feel like calling it fucking chartreuse. Whatever. Yes, so yes, you have social constructs. I don't know why I have to explain this to people. Like, it's just made up. It's make-believe. Yes, you make up the word. to call a thing. Yes, that's made up. But the differences, no matter what you call them, are there. So yeah, race is a social construct just like everything else is. Anyway, sorry for the digression. But y'all get the point. So, you have enough information, ABL. I have enough information to know that when the police department hangs their people out to dry, like, yeah, that nigga fucked up and we don't want no parts, guess what? We have enough information. What more information you need? Okay, you want to hear the dispatch call? What difference does that make? What does that have to do with price of tea in China? The fact of the matter is, he didn't identify himself. He shot this woman. He bypassed the front door, bypassed the side door, shot this woman through the window. What else? What else is there? No, the information's out there. You just want to. So you have a large audience. So you want to give your large audience the information you want to give them, and you know that you have a large echo chamber over there with very few dissenting voices. And they're not going to argue with you. They're going to agree with you all the time. That's all I see is people agreeing with you in your comment section. You're not sparking any deep thought. You're giving people thoughts through your words. You know that's what you're doing. No, I want people to think. If anybody that I have in my audience that enjoy my content, I want them to think. I don't want them to take my word for anything. I tell people, don't take my word for it. Go do the research. Do the research yourself. Look into this. That's logical. That's logical. But I can tell you this: don't take anything for my word. Go look at all the videos. Go watch the press conferences with these police department. Look at the video. Clear as day. This man murdered that woman. Never mind the race. The fact of the matter is, you have an elite class and you have a proletariat class. The elite class will hire people from this proletariat class to oversee over the rest of the proletariat class to keep them in line. Give them the illusion that they have the power. Give them the illusion of immunity. This qualified immunity crap. That's the key. Oh, just say you fear for your life and you can murder anybody you want. Qualified immunity. That has to stop. Nah. Psychological evaluations. For every police, if you want to be a cop, you got to go through intensive psychological evaluation. You got to go through extensive background checks. And once you become a cop, once you commit domestic violence, you got to go through the ringer like everybody else, even worse. Whatever, you know how they say in construction zones in the highway, if you violate a traffic law, a moving violation, if you commit a moving violation through a construction zone, you get twice the fine. Well, that's what should happen to police officers. Every time they commit a crime, they should get twice the punishment. Point blank in the Mickey Ficky period. You want to talk about mandatory sentences? Police officers should get mandatory sentences every time they commit a crime. Every time they commit a moving violation, they need to get their asses some double the fine. That's how we should look at it. Not, oh well, he's a police officer and he put his life on the line every day, and miss me with that. Miss me with it. I'm not sugarcoating nothing with none of y'all cats anymore. Like, this is BS. It's a damn shame that somebody like Brian from High Impact Flicks is more in tune with what's really going on than your ass is. Your light was opened up, or your eyes were opened up by the conservative party. Oh, well, good for you. Good for you. So now you're just going to disregard any logic and common sense? No. Common sense should, hold on. Common sense should tell you that this cop murdered that woman and his ass needs to go down point blank in the period. Allegedly. So what? I don't care. What are you gonna do? Sue me for what are you gonna do? Nah, miss me with that. I saw the video. There's nothing to allege. It happened. He killed that woman. Murdered. No identification. No wellness check. Knock. Nah. Cold-blooded murder. Pull your heads out of your asses. If you stuck on this freaking cult of personality Trump bullshit, pull your heads out of your asses. If you feel like the Conservative Party cares about your ass more than the Democratic Party do, pull your head out, because they don't. They don't. Nah. Anyway, I'm out of here.